So in the past day or so, a article or a blog was released online by Tiffany Smith. Now, in case you don't know who Tiffany Smith is, she's the voice of Andrea, or Andrea, depending on how you call her by name. But she's the voice of Andrea in Masters of the Universe Revelation, and she is the friend, quote unquote, of Teela, or at least the companion. Although a lot of people pretty much can tell that there's something more between them, if you know what I mean. Anyway, everybody that's been critical about this show, including myself, have joked around and said that, what are they going to, basically have asked, jokingly, oh, what are they going to do next, are they going to make, Teela or Andrea the next He-Man, She-Man, He-La-La-La, whatever, Defender of Eternia? Are they going to go that direction because of the way the series is going right now, the focus of the series is going right now? Is that what they plan to do? Oh, that would be funny. That would be a hoot, just joking around because of the fact that, you can't really take this show seriously because it's everything that it wasn't supposed to be, or it's everything that it was not promoted to be. You know what I'm saying? And recently, like I said, over the weekend, Tiffany Smith put out this blog, and in the blog she mentioned that during her audition, or at least at the end of her audition, that she was asked to say the iconic line, "I have the power." And anybody that knows He-Man and old school OG hardcore Filmation, She-Ra, Masters of the Universe fans know that the line, "I have the power," the iconic line, is more associated with He-Man, Prince Adam, after the transformation, or during the transformation. And when Tiffany basically mentioned that she had to say this at the end of her audition, it was like, okay, what does this mean? It made a lot of people that have been critical, that were joking about this potentially happening, it made a lot of people that, those same people, I should say, that have been critical, kind of start wondering, speculating that, of whether or not the joke they were making could actually become a reality. Because Tiffany said that, 2 weeks later she got the call that she was now on, in the show. She was the voice of Andrea. And again, it made a lot of these people that saw this or read this on her blog wonder whether or not that joke that they made could be true. And the way the show is going, in the eyes of a lot of folks, I don't think anybody would put it past Netflix or Mattel or Kevin Smith or Ted Biaselli, mostly Netflix, Kevin Smith and Ted Biaselli, to possibly pull the trigger on that and make Andrea the next He-Man or She-Man or champion of Eternia. Because that's one thing they also pointed out, was that during the series they weren't referring to the guardian or champion of champion of Eternia as He-Man or She-Ra or whatever, or any kind of different name. They were just referring to them as champion. And that was one little clue that made them speculate, along with, reading what Tiffany said here, makes them now wonder if perhaps, not putting it past Netflix, Kevin Smith or Biaselli, if perhaps that's the direction they might go in to conclude the second half of the season, or this limited run. And, I wouldn't be surprised myself if that was the case. But there's one thing that's interesting, though, that I was thinking about when I heard people talking about this, from Clownfish to RK Outpost to Yellow Flash 2 and many others. There was one thing that I was surprised they didn't mention. You see, a lot of people say that the She-Ra thing right now is under the DreamWorks licensing or the DreamWorks branding. But the She-Ra they have was promoted as an original series for a new generation. It was a reboot, of the iconic character. So I was thinking to myself, well, everybody knows, Robert Davis and Ted Biaselli, with the old school OG Master Universe fans, they know that She-Ra is associated with He-Man, and that if it wasn't for He-Man, there'd be no She-Ra. And in case you need a history lesson, She-Ra debuted in the Secret of the Sword movie, which was then edited into a 5-part miniseries as a pilot for her spin-off series, which came around 85, 86. So, everybody knows that. And I'm sure, like I said, Ted and Robert are aware of that, being old school fans themselves, trying to basically say that they represent the fans. So you have to wonder, perhaps, if this is the way of getting around that. If perhaps, the speculation that everybody is making of the joke that they had originally made possibly becoming a reality of Andrea becoming the next champion of Eternia, if maybe that's the way around it, to where if that becomes a reality, if that becomes true, that when she puts up the sword and she says by the power of Grayskull, or if she says for the honor of Grayskull, you have to wonder if this is the way of turning her into their interpretation of She-Ra. You have to wonder that, because there's a lot of history in media to where even though you can't show a character that's seen one way, you could still have that character another way. Even by name, you could still have that character. They just got to be seen differently. And you have to wonder if that is indeed the case, if that speculation that a lot of people are having about how the series could end and how a new champion or the champion of Eternia could be determined. You have to think to yourself, what if this is a way for them, especially with them trying to push the feminine agenda, the woke agenda and all that, as a lot of people have pointed out, the LGBTQ agenda with Andrea and Teela. You have to wonder if perhaps this is the way of doing it and getting around the whole She-Ra thing by saying, look, DreamWorks has their She-Ra, but this is our She-Ra. So you have to wonder, because when you take out, when you look at Andrea's name, and a lot of people have said that by Greek terminology it means man or man at arms. If you have to wonder, if you have to really also think that if you take out the "an" out of Andrea's name and you put the "she," that kind of makes it, there's kind of a ironic connection right there, ironic kind of realization that could be what we see. That potentially could be what happens. Not saying it will, because like Clownfish, Neon and Geeky there have said, amongst others, it's mere speculation. But you have to think about it. Andra, all you have to do is take out the "on," put the "she" in this She-Ra. Just think, just think about that. Think about that, guys, because I would not be surprised if that's what happens, because a lot of studios, could find creative ways to get around certain legal issues or interpretations and stuff, and I would not be surprised if that's what we get, if what people are speculating and worried about and they originally joked about becomes a reality. Like, instead of her just being the champion known as Andra, the new champion of Eternia, you have to wonder basically what I'm trying to say is if that is the case. Because, think about it. Like I said, She-Ra, everybody associates her with He-Man. If it wasn't for He-Man, there'd be no She-Ra. So you have to wonder if Andra will be this show's interpretation of She-Ra. I mean, it's really something to think about, guys. Really something to think about. And when you really think about it, you think the backlash, the negativity this show has gotten so far, has been bad. Imagine how bad it will get if this was nothing more than a way to get us a different interpretation of She-Ra into the franchise. Now, look. First of all, let me say this before I close the video. Before I end the video, I should say. I have nothing against Eternia having a champion of different race and color. I don't. If that's the decision they want to go with, more power to them, if it's done right. However, if this is the way, if this is the interpreted, get around the legal barrier way of giving us their version of She-Ra in Master Universe Revelation to close it up, or at least this chapter of it, again, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised by it. And like I said, the negativity, you think it's getting bad negativity in press right now? That's nothing compared to what will happen here. Even if they have good intentions from their point of view, that negativity will be nothing compared to what will happen there if that is indeed the case. Because here's the thing. People will pull out pictures like this, or they'll put images of images of pictures like this and say, this is She-Ra. And you know what? If they see this outfit, these boots, this outfit, this tiara, show up on Andrea at the end of the series, and she says, you know, either by the power of Grayskull or for the honor of Grayskull, and she becomes their version of She-Ra with that outfit or something close to that outfit, yeah, fans, again, you think the negativity is bad now. Fans will have a shitstorm. Excuse my language, God. They will have a shitstorm. That happens. And again, nothing against a character of different race and ethics, and different race, gender, or ethics being chosen as the champion of Eternia if they want to do that. But only if they do it right. If they write it, if it's written well, not a problem. But the way this show has been going, nobody trusts the fact. Nobody could trust or believe how this possibly will be written or be built towards in the second half, if it indeed does happen. But we'll see. I mean, right now it is just mere speculation. It is merely a joke that could become a reality, especially based off what Tiffany Smith said in her blog. But for all we know, all the cast members that auditioned for the characters for the show, maybe all of them had to say that line just to get them into the mood for the He-Man universe, just to get them into the spirit of the Master of the Universe franchise that they were going to be part of. But we'll see. We shall see. Because I could tell you, if Andrea is the new champion and the new champion name is She-Ra, and this is their way of getting around to that point, again, I don't think anybody would put it past them, and I don't think anybody would be surprised. But the negativity and shitstorm they're getting right now would be nothing compared to what they'll get should that happen. And again, nothing against wanting, if you want to have a champion of a different race, color, and ethic, and gender, a different race, color, and gender, I should say, and ethic, as the champion of Eternia, but only if you do it right, if you write it right, if the story is written correctly, not a problem. But the way it's right now, yeah, I don't think anybody would trust them to handle this kind of thing should it happen from mere speculation correctly. I don't think they could trust them doing that. But let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear from each and every one of you. Let me know what your thoughts are on the live chat during the premiere. Like the video, but I'd love to hear from your thoughts on this, guys, and I am out.